Hello everybody, welcome to my channel or welcome back. I am so excited, as you guys probably know already if you're watching this. It is time to go over the new July 2023 books. I am so excited. This video just makes me happy, although sometimes it makes me really sad because there's so many books that I want and I'm just like, can't get them all. But I've been getting a lot better about using the library, so this one doesn't make me as sad as it used to. So if you're new to the channel, this is a video I do every single month. It comes out at the end of the month for the next month. So because it is the end of June, this is the new July releases. So get your Goodreads ready, your bank accounts ready, your date book ready, whatever you use, your planner, etc., whatever. We're going through a lot of books today. Now, I do give this disclaimer as usual before each of these videos because if you're new, you don't know exactly maybe what I read that much. I do put stuff in here that I'm not necessarily overly excited about. I do put stuff in here that other people have talked about that maybe I don't care about. But generally, most of the books in this video are going to be mystery thrillers, they're going to be young adult fantasy, they're going to be fantasy, and I do try and throw in some horror books. There's not going to be a lot of contemporary fiction. There's not going to be historical fiction unless it's a really, really big release and the historical fiction is in something else, it's a mixed genre kind of thing. So I don't really do that much of that. Oh, and there will be obviously romance. So that's kind of what I put in these videos. So if you are a historical fiction fan and a contemporary fiction fan, this is probably not the book releases for you. I also don't do middle grade. I don't really read middle grade books. So if you wanted middle grade, that's not going to be in this video either. So stick around if you liked any of the other things. There are going to be plenty of big, massive, crazy releases that are coming out. I am so excited. I'm also doing this on a day that I feel absolutely terrible. We were just at my parents' house last week and we got home Sunday. It was fine Sunday. It is now Wednesday. On Monday, I got a migraine and then I did too much Tuesday because I went to the dentist and so my teeth hurt and my face hurts and the allergies are terrible. So I did too much yesterday and it kind of came back last night. And so this morning I'm just feeling not great. You would not believe how much under eye, I don't really wear any makeup, but you would not believe how much concealer is under my eyes right now. It's a lot, or I would look dead. So I decided, yeah, let's just do this video today because it makes me happy. It is fun to look at the new releases. Probably not good for my eyes, but we're gonna do it anyway. So without further ado, let's get into the new releases. So we are starting on July 4th. I actually only have 2 for July 4th, 2 for July 6th. If you've not seen these videos before, this has definitely caused me some strife and I've had to go and look at dates and stuff like that. So I didn't realize, and thank you to the subscribers for pointing this out, different countries, I don't know why I didn't expect this, different countries release on different days. So, and sometimes a year goes by without a release in the US and it's already released in the UK, which actually I have a book. I bought a book from Waterstones because it's not coming out in the US until January, but it was already out last month and it's one of my anticipated releases. So I was I'm not waiting. So if any of these dates are wrong, it's most likely because it is coming out in another country first and it's not coming out in the US. So take some of these with a grain of salt just because I don't 100% know if it's 100% accurate because it is Goodreads. I'm basing this all off of Goodreads. So like I said, we're starting July 4th, July 6th. So the first thing coming out on July 4th is called A Good House for Children by Kate Collins. I really like this cover. It's very simplistic and it's just, there's something very creepy about it. And it is listed as a horror gothic fiction mystery. So that sounds really interesting. So we're going to be following our main character, Orla, who is a wife and her husband wants to move out of the city and move into more country living because their family is growing. So he finds an old, gorgeous manor house, which is mistake number 1. This is a horror. We know where this is going. And we are following a mixed timeline. So we're also going to be following Lydia, who lived in the house 4 decades earlier. So I'm really excited. It says it's a feminist gothic tale perfectly suited for the current moment. A Good House for Children combines an atmospheric mystery with resonant themes of motherhood, madness, and the value of a woman's work. This one is going to be a mixed bag for me because motherhood is generally not something I enjoy reading about. So this one I'm probably going to wait until I see other people's reviews on it, see how heavily it does talk about motherhood versus other things, and then I'll decide if I want to read this one. But this does seem to be an interesting new horror book, and we always are light on horror, so I just try to throw in as much horror as I can. The next one coming out on July 4th is called At the End of Every Day. This is another horror fiction adult mystery book, and this is going to be a debut novel. It has terrible ratings, which is very sad, but it says it's perfect for fans of Ian Reid, Jeff Vandermeer, and Julia Armfield, which is a very interesting group of people that's very like, they're weird horror, because I've read a Jeff Vandermeer and I've read a Julia Armfield. I have not read an Ian Reid just because I'm too scared to read them. So I'm very interested if this is also going to be a very like weird author. I have issues with R's, so just ignore that. It says a loyal employee at a collapsing theme park questions the recent death of a celebrity visitor, the arrival of a strange new guest, and her boyfriend's erratic behavior, and ultimately her own sanity. So I like the theme park thing. I like that there's mysteries going on. So I feel like I'm gonna give it a shot. Horror does tend to have lower ratings because horror is very niche. A lot of people just like what they like in horror. So I am really curious why this is getting such low ratings, but I also don't want to look at it because I don't want to I hate looking at why people don't like stuff, because then I'm like, oh, I need to not like it either before I read stuff. After I read stuff, yeah, I'll look at all I want. And sometimes it will change my rating if I didn't pick up on something, because sometimes that definitely happens. So, but I don't want to read it beforehand. But anyway, this is a very interesting book that is already pretty low rated. So the next one coming out is actually coming out on July 6th. The next two are July 6th. And this is the second in a series. I hadn't heard of this series, but this sounds really, really cool. It's called A Very Lively Murder by Katie Watson. And it says, one murder mystery movie, 3 Dahlias, and a whole cast of suspects. And it has to do with ex-child star. So I love books that have this type of stuff, especially murder mysteries. This seems like this is gonna be, yeah, it says a cozy mystery. I love cozy mysteries. I'm really excited to have a bunch of cozy mysteries in my house that I still need to read, and I kind of want to read more. So this sounds really, really interesting. The next one is also a second book in the series. July 6th coming out is A Lady's Guide to Scandal by Sophie Irwin. I haven't read the first one, but the first one does sound really good, and this one sounds even better. It says internationally best-selling author Sophie Irwin brings us another fresh, witty take on a romantic escape led by a deeply lovable heroine determined to start living on her own terms. I just love these historical romance fictions that are just cute and fun. This is exactly what I like from my Bridgerton era romance books. They're just a lot of fun, and there's a lot of drama that happens in these. All right, we are moving on to July 11th. We have so many releases for July 11th. I'm shocked how many books are coming out on this date. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is The Woods Are Waiting by Catherine Green. And this is a thriller mystery. It says horror too, which is very interesting. So I wonder if it's one of those thrillers, but it goes a little more intense than a lot of thrillers do. So they start categorizing it as horror. It's always interesting. I literally just read a book like that, which is going to be on this list actually. So The Woods Are Waiting, and it says in the tradition of Lisa Jewell and Ruth Ware, which is they're definitely thriller writers, not horror. It's a dark descent into the sinister traditions and customs of a small town in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Oh gosh, I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Oh gosh, is it Appalachian or Appalachian? My husband's gonna be so mad. He's from that area, and I never remember how to say it, so I just don't. People take it so seriously if you say it wrong, so I'm sorry if you're one of those people. I cannot remember how you're supposed to say it. Whatever. The Apple Mountains. That's what we're going to call it. The Apple Mountains. And it says, no superstition will prepare childhood friends Cheyenne and Natalie for the macabre truth that awaits them. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. This one sounds really, really good. I feel like it's got mixed results. A 3.72 is not super high, but I don't know. That premise sounds really, really cool. And it sounds kind of ghosty, and it does sound a little bit horror-y. Next one is a Darcy Coates I actually have read. The video is coming out this morning as I'm filming this. I read 3 arcs for July. I'm going to start doing arc readings for the month prior. And so I actually have read Dead of Winter. I gave this a 3-star. So I'm definitely below the average. For me, this was just a very predictable horror thriller book, and this is one of those books that it says horror as the first genre, but I would almost list this as a thriller more than anything else. And it was just very predictable for me, but it's this is what I said in the video. Read this if it's winter and you want something quick and you want something just kind of fun slashery, because we are following a group of people who are in a remote cabin in the snowy wilderness that will teach you to trust no one, which is definitely true. There are 8 strangers, 1 killer, nowhere left to run. So it's definitely that. It's definitely that. It's a fun thing where every day someone new is getting killed. It would make such a good movie. It's just so predictable. So if you don't like predictable books, don't pick it up. If you don't care about predictability, then you should pick it up because it was fun. The next one coming out on July 11th is The Bones of the Story by Carol Goodman. This is a mystery thriller. I love this cover. I love the color scheme. I just think it looks so cool. Twisty locked room mystery from 2-time Mary Higgins Clark Award-winning author Carol Goodman about a group of former classmates trapped on their college campus with a murderer among them. So I think that sounds really fun. I feel like we're getting into the era, or like back into the era, where instead of dual timelines, like you're following one character in the present and one character in the past, it's becoming like group slasher kind of things going on in mystery thrillers, because I've seen quite a few where instead of following one main character trying to solve a mystery, it's like following a group of people stuck in a bad situation. So I feel like we're going into that era because people are a little burnt out on the dual timeline kind of thing. So I'm really excited about this, and yeah, I'm really, really excited about this one. The next one is going to excite some people and not others. It is Paul Tremblay, obviously horror, but this is a short story collection. The Beast You Are short stories, and it's going to be a haunting collection of short fiction from Paul Tremblay. So it is only his work in there, which is interesting. I'm very curious about this. I have not read a Paul Tremblay yet. I do have A Head Full of Ghosts because I was originally actually going to read Paul Bear's Club first, but so many mixed things on that. I want to read something a little more popular first to get like a better taste of his writing. So I think I'm going to read A Head Full of Ghosts first and then maybe pick up Paul Bear's Club. I don't know. I'm still undecided because people are just so mixed with this author. But this one is coming out, short stories, really nothing else to say about that. The next one that we have coming out on July 11th is the St. Ambrose School for Girls by Jessica Ward. This is a weird one because I feel like I'm seeing this mentioned everywhere, but it has such a low rating so far. So I feel like it's just being mentioned because it seems like a really interesting idea, but not a lot of people have read it yet maybe. So I haven't seen any like reviews of it other than the really low rating on Goodreads. So it's got a 3.31, which is quite low for a book, especially hasn't come out yet. Mystery thriller, young adult. So I wonder if people are going into it thinking it's going to be an adult book and it's young adult. I don't know. But it's also like, I feel like young adult can come across very childish. So it could be people who want something more adult-like. Because I know the premise sounds really, really cool. It says The Heathers meets The Secret History. So I feel like that's drawn in a very interesting group of people that want to read this book. Because both of those I feel like are more on the like adult side. Because Heathers is like dark comedy horror that is quite dark. And then The Secret History is definitely an adult. I hate that book, but it's an adult, like, very dark book as well. So very interesting that those are the two that they would pick for a young adult book. And it says it's a thrilling coming-of-age novel set in a boarding school where the secrets are devastating and deadly. Again, don't really want to know much more about this because it is a mystery thriller. I don't want to know that much. But it does sound darky academia, and I love the cover. I love the cover. It's stunning. And of course, one that everyone is pretty excited about coming out, Hello Stranger by Catherine Center, already has 4,000 ratings with a 4.24, which is amazing. I have read one Catherine Center, I think it was The Bodyguard, which was hilarious. It was one of my favorite romances that I read, I think last year. Fantastic. So I am so excited about this. Love isn't blind, it's just a little blurry. And our main character has been diagnosed with face blindness, which isn't my favorite like trope. I read plenty of thrillers with face blindness, and it's just kind of for me. So I don't love the idea of a romance about face blindness. I don't know. That's just not like my cup of tea, but I'm still gonna try it out because I love The Bodyguard so much. So if it's got that like funny comedy aspect that The Bodyguard had, I feel like I'm gonna enjoy this. The next one coming out on July 11th is The Guest Room by Tasha Silva, and this one sounds really cool. Thriller, fiction, mystery, and it says Tess has a bad habit. She can't stop snooping through her guests' belongings. Our main character is renting out a room to people and she's going through people's stuff, and I'm just like, the drama. the drama. I feel like you've got to read a book like this, even if it's not good, just because of literally the drama. I feel like this is a book you're going to be reading and you're just going to be sitting there going, oh, stop doing that. Stop doing that. So I am nervous and excited to pick this one up. Next one coming out on July 11th is called Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. I remember finding this one. This one sounds really cool. In this incendiary mashup of horror and suspense, a notorious slasher film is remade and the curse that haunted it is reawakened. Again, I will read anything that even remotely has to do with TV sets, movie sets, Hollywood, old Hollywood. I adore it. I love it, especially when it's in like a horror thing. It's just like, it just sounds so cool. It sounds so cool. So it says we're following journalist Laura Warren, and she is in LA to visit a set of a new streaming horror series. I feel like in the era of Black Mirror and Netflix and all these streaming things, this is like perfection. This is perfect timing. So I am very, very excited about this one. Man, I went like really hard with the thriller mysteries this month. There apparently is a lot coming out this month. The Center by Ayesha Manazir Sidici. If I got that wrong, let me know. A darkly comic boundary-pushing debut following an adrift Pakistani translator in London who attends a mysterious language school which boasts complete fluency in just 10 days, but at a secret, sinister cost. It has an interesting listing of what it says the genres are, so I am curious about that. It says fiction, mystery, and then contemporary. So now I'm curious if this is more fiction contemporary with a mystery in it, because there is a big difference. There is a big difference between mystery thriller fiction and contemporary fiction mystery. Very big difference. So I am very interested about that. I wonder if it's more about our translator, the character, than it is about the actual mystery. Like the mystery is just like what keeps you the story going, the plot going, and you're just really learning about our character. So I'm interested. I really like this cover. It freaks me out. And this sounds very different than other stuff that I've read. Next one coming out is finally science fiction fantasy young adult, A Song of Salvation. This is going to be a young adult space opera about a reincarnated god and a grumpy pilot on a mission to save a beloved space DJ and stop an intergalactic war. I feel like that's all I gotta know. Space DJ. that had me. It's like, you had me at hello. Space DJ. You had me at space DJ. So anyway, this sounds really interesting, and it says it's queer LGBTQ+, which is awesome. Next, coming out on July 11th, I told you guys I had so many. Belgard by Jamie Lilac. Ooh La La, a historical rom-com with a modern twist perfect for fans of Bridgerton, A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and She's All That. That's all I need. That's it. I got it. I want to read it. Yeah, so it's basically a retelling of She's All That, which is... I love She's All That. I know it doesn't like stand up that well to like being like really great to watch, but I love it. It's just so entertaining, and I love Freddie Prinze Jr. And so I love that movie. So I'm really interested what a current retelling would do with that, because obviously you can't have some of the stuff they have in there. It's not nice. So I am curious about that. But yeah, we're following our main two characters, Evie and Beau wants to transform the biggest wallflower into a star or whatever for that season. So I'm very excited about it. I'm gonna be reading it. I hope it's a hot mess like She's All That is. And yes, I actually did like He's All That. Don't judge me, okay? It was wildly entertaining and a mess, and I love things that are a mess. So the next one coming out on July 11th is Those We Drown by Amy Goldsmith. This is actually, what is it? This is Barnes & Noble's July pick, I think, for their club. So that's very interesting. An ocean-drenched atmospheric horror debut. I want this to feel like House of Salt and Sorrow. That's kind of like my main reason for picking this up, because like something about it just feels like a House of Salt and Sorrow, and I loved that book so much. We're going to be following Liv, whose best friend disappears on their first night aboard their dream semester at sea program. But is he really sick, like everyone says, or is something darker lurking beneath the water? So I'm excited about that, because I just read, I don't remember what it's called. I just read a book that the main characters were on a semester at sea, and it was terrible, like so bad. So I feel like I want this to be the redemption for that book. So I'm pretty excited. I'm not like I'm not the biggest fan of the cover. I think they could have done something a little more interesting, but I like the idea behind it, and I really hope it's good. I really do. Last two, What Never Happened, Rachel Housel Hall. It is a thriller mystery, and it's a murder in paradise as a woman uncovers a host of secrets off the rocky California coast as Coco begins to draw connections between a serial killer's crimes and her own family tragedy. That's why I was interested in it, because that's a little bit different than other books, other thriller mysteries that I've read. And the last one on July 11th that I have is called The Ebony Gate. It is the first in a new series called Phoenix Horde by Julia V. and Ken Babel? Female John Wick story with dragon magic set in contemporary San Francisco's Chinatown. That's it. I feel like there's some books, just there's a tagline and you're like, dragon magic, John Wick, yes. Yes. This sounds so cool. It says it's a fantasy, urban fantasy. Interesting. I don't read a ton of urban fantasy, but it sounds pretty good. So I thought July 11th had a lot, but now I just clicked on all of the July 18th ones and I'm like, there's so many. There's so many. Guys, there's so many books coming out in July. I feel like that's how the summer months are. There's just so many books that come out in the summer that I'm just like, there's so many to talk about. Okay, first one coming out on July 18th is The Summer Girl by Elle Kennedy. I added this for the Elle Kennedy girlies. It is the third in the Avalon Bay series. I don't know. I don't read Elle Kennedy. So this is for you guys. Just letting you know it's coming out in July. If you didn't know, which I'm sure you did, because I feel like Elle Kennedy's fans are like, yes. So next we have The Block Party, which is thriller mystery fiction. And this one just sounds like a very fun neighborhood drama one where this summer, meet your neighbors. That sounds like a horror movie to me. That sounds like an absolute horror movie to me. Let's see. On the night of the annual summer block party, there's been a murder and they have to figure out who's been murdered, what's happening, who's the murderer. It just sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a whodunit mystery, which I really like. Sometimes just like a very interesting mystery. Next, we have a thriller horror, which is called Cutting Teeth by Chandler Baker. This is another one that I'm like iffy about because it says, witty, thrilling story of parental love that asks, is there anything a mother won't do for her children? So for me, this one again is going to be probably one that I wait for some people to read. I feel like this is going to be a popular one. This seems like something that is going to get a lot of traction in the horror community and thriller community that people are going to be like, ooh, this sounds interesting. So I'm going to wait for some people to read this one and then I may pick it up depending on how motherhood-esque it is, because it does sound very heavy motherhood, obviously. All right, we have, this is adult horror, which surprises me because for some reason when I see this cover, I think of young adult horror. Something just about it just screams young adult horror, but it says it's an adult horror and it's called Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. And it already has a 4.2 with 175 rating, which is really good for an adult horror book. That's not seen very often, I feel like. A searing and earnest horror debut about the demons the queer community faces in America, the price of keeping secrets, and finding the courage to burn it all down. And it's going to be following a gay conversion camp. So this is definitely... This one's going to be a really, really hard read. This seems like it's going to hit very, very hard. I feel like this is going to be a very, very big release in the horror community, so I'm really excited for everyone to start reading this one and see what's going to happen. Next one coming out, huge release. This is one of the biggest releases in July, Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I am so excited. This sounds so good as a horror historical fiction, but my type of historical fiction, which is, again, having to do with film and movie stars. It's going to be a fabulous meld of Mexican horror movies and Nazi occultism, a dark thriller about the curse that haunts a legendary lost film and awakens one woman's hidden powers. I'm so excited. And this is going to be in a book box, which I'm really excited about. My dog just came downstairs and he's knocking all the pillows off of all the couches, so I'm just kind of like watching him to make sure he doesn't do something dumb. So you might hear some like snorting and weird noises in the background. This is gonna be a video that has a lot of weird noises in it, okay? So anyway, like I was saying, Silver Nitrate, so excited about this. This is going to be, I don't think this is a spoiler, I feel like everybody knows. It's gonna be the first horror book in the Illumicrate book box, whatever, so I am so excited. I haven't had a lot of luck with Sylvia Moreno Garcia after Mexican Gothic. I haven't liked some of the stuff that she's written. So I'm like hoping this one brings me back to the way I felt about Mexican Gothic. But it sounds really good and kind of terrifying. He's a mess. He's such a mess. Just like, might as well just let him finish. All right, this one is a pretty big release as well. I don't know if it's Yasad or Jasad Air by Saram Hashem. It is going to be the first in a new series called the Scorched Throne series. It has 268 ratings with a 4.31, so it's pretty high already. And we're going to be following a burned kingdom that burned down 10 years ago, the magic outlawed, royal family murder, down to the last child. At least that's what Sylvia wants people to believe. So Lost Heir just sounds really, really cool. Sounds like a very epic fantasy series that we're going to be getting, which is really cool. And it is an adult fantasy series. For some reason, I thought this was young adult as well. So the next one coming out is To Have and To Heist, and it says, to exonerate her best friend, one woman must mastermind a jewelry heist during the wedding of the season in this hilarious romantic comedy caper from the author of The Dating Plan. I loved The Dating Plan. I thought it was really fun, so I'm pretty excited to pick this one up. The next one, I'm very intrigued about this. I don't read a lot of science fiction, so I always try to find like a couple that I'm pretty interested in. And this is a science fiction mystery thriller, and it is called The Deep Sky. The Deep Sky is an enthralling sci-fi thriller debut about a mission into deep space that begins with a lethal explosion that leaves the survivors questioning the loyalty of the crew. Yeah, that sounds really good. I feel like I like space science fiction better than other science fiction, even though I don't like space. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But that sounds pretty cool. Next is a horror young adult book. I feel like there's tons of horror and thrillers in this. Oh my gosh. A Guide to the Dark by Miriam Matoui. You can check out Room 9, but you can never leave. The Haunting of Hill House meets Nina LaCour in this paranormal mystery young adult about the ghosts we carry with us. So it's probably going to be very emotional, but I like the idea of like a haunted room kind of thing. I'm really interested to see like where it goes with this, because there's a lot of things you can do with like haunted rooms, etc. The next one coming out is pretty big in the young adult world by Adrian Tooley, The Third Daughter, a new untitled series. And it says it's a sweeping young adult fantasy about legacy, betrayal, sisterhood, and politicizing emotion in the quest for power, all balanced by a slow burn LGBTQ plus romance. So love hearing that slow burn romance, love that idea. And it's kind of going to be following like the fallout of a prophecy and what our main characters decide to do about that prophecy. So that sounds pretty cool. I like prophecy books. Very interesting. And then, for me, the biggest release of July of the year, we have Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I am so excited. This is going to be adult fantasy romance, and it's going to be in a new series called Flesh and False Gods. I just love her writing. I love her writing. So this, oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited for this one. And it says it's going to be an epic fantasy debut inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance amidst a set of deadly games. It's even better than I thought. It's even better than I thought. I'm so excited. That's it. I don't want to know anything else. I'm foaming at the mouth to get that book. I'm Not Here to Make Friends by Andrew Yang, young adult contemporary. This one sounds just kind of fun. Terrace House meets Love Boat Taipei in this fun, frothy, incisive young adult debut following two teens and their unforgettable summer on a reality show. Again, I've said it before. I will say it again. I will say it years from now. Anything that has to do with TV, reality TV especially, film, movies, etc. I'm gonna read it. I'm excited about this. Okay, we are down to our last two. Under This Forgetful Sky. This is a young adult science fiction fantasy, and it says it's gonna be similar to Laini Taylor's work, that's a lot to live up to, I feel like. This futuristic star-crossed love story follows two teens struggling to find their place in a starkly unequal world. So we're following two different characters. It's very Romeo and Juliet feeling-esque, not having to do with the families, but one comes from one world, one comes from another world, and it just doesn't mix. So I think that sounds really, really good. I like the idea of it. I think it's like one teen. Yeah, one of the teens lives in St. Iago, which is like super well protected, and the wealthy live there. And then the other one lives in a ruined city and it sounds like they're gonna have a romance together, and that sounds really cute, and star-crossed lovers is just something I love. So I hope it's not tragic. I'm worried about that. I hate when stuff is tragic, but it sounds cool. And then for all the Samantha Downing girlies out there, we have A Twisted Love Story. I don't know how I feel about Samantha Downing. I have DNF'd to Samantha Downing, and I have not read anything else by her, so I'm a little nervous about it. I did not like My Lovely Wife, like, at all. So yeah, we're gonna see. From the best-selling author of My Lovely Wife comes a reckless, delicious thriller about a young couple that gives a whole new meaning to the dangers of modern dating. It says, there's something Wes and Ivy never talk about, in good times or bad, the night of their worst breakup when one of them took things too far and someone ended up dead. Yeah, excited about that. Sounds pretty good. Sounds like drama. And I love drama. Okay, moving on to July 20th. We have 2 coming out on July 20th. We have None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Huge release. Everyone very, very excited about this one. I'm not like the biggest Lisa Jewell fan. I need to like read more of her backlist to see if I like a particular style of her writing. But so far, I haven't read anything that I absolutely adore. But this one sounds really good because I think it has to do with, a true crime podcast. So again, just like film and movies and stuff, if it's got a podcast in it, I'm gonna read it. And this is again a one that I just don't really want to know that much about. I'm excited to read this one going in blind. And then we have another mystery thriller, another big release by I can never say her name right. Sherry Lapina. Everyone Here Is Lying, another thrilling domestic suspense novel. I'm just like tired of domestic suspense. I'm also not going to read the synopsis for this one either because I feel like domestic suspense you want to go into super blind, or it's just like any other domestic suspense. So I don't know. I don't know how about feel domestic suspense. I kind of hope it wanes and we go in like a different popular direction because it's just like the popular thing to read about. And our last date for July, we have books coming out on July 25th. And the first one coming out is Her Little Flowers by Shannon Morgan. And I love this cover. This sounds really, really good. It says it's a gothic horror. And we're going to be following our main character, Francine, who has lived in her family's ancestral home for 55 years. And it's a rambling Elizabethan manor in England's Lake District. So that sounds really good. Bree is a mischievous ghost that lives in the house. The story kind of kicks off when Francine's estranged sister shows up with a terrifying tale to tell. So anyway, this sounds pretty cool. It sounds like a little bit of a lighter horror, maybe. I say that not having read it, but very interested. All right, another book that I have actually read, The Legacies by Jessica Goodman. This is a mystery young adult thriller. So this one is following a group of characters who are kind of privileged characters, and someone has gone missing, and you also know that someone has died at the end of the book. And I gave this one a 2.5. I did not like this book. I did not like this book. I think Jessica Goodman has other books that are better than this. This one just wasn't that fun. The characters were so awful. Every single one of them is just like a spoiled, obnoxious brat. And sometimes that can be really fun to read. Was not fun to read this one. But if you do want to read this one, this is following a group of wealthy kids who are in a very prestigious high school. Some of them have been picked to compete in this little competition thing where they are going to compete for a bunch of money, but they're already accepted into this like secret society where doors are going to open up for them. So we're kind of following that. And in the background, you know someone has been murdered. You just don't know until the very end, and it kind of gives you like hints. And also someone is missing since the beginning of the book. So lots of secrets, lots of cool stuff. This should have been a hit, but it just didn't work for me. The next one of my other biggest releases this year is House of Roots and Ruin by Erin Craig. So excited. I gave House of Salt and Sorrow 5 stars. Love that book. I gave Small Favors 4.5. So I am so excited to read this one. Like, so excited to read this one. A modern masterpiece. This is a classic gothic thriller fantasy from Erin A. Craig about doomed love, menacing ambition, and the ghosts that haunt us forever. In a manor by the sea, one sister is still cursed. That's all I want to know. That's it. I don't want to know anymore. I'm so excited. So yeah, moving on. Okay, and this is the last one that I read for that art vlog. They're Vicious Games, 4-star. Highly recommend this one. This one is so much fun. If you want just a fun competition young adult story, read this one. So the premise of the story is a black teen desperate to regain her Ivy League acceptance enters an elite competition only to discover the stakes aren't just high, they're deadly in the searing thriller that meets Ace of Spades, and Squid Games with a sprinkling of The Bachelor. They are not kidding. I thought that was like, no, but it is, the book is like The Bachelor, The Selection. I would say it's more The Selection than The Bachelor. Hunger Games meets Squid Games with a little bit of Ready or Not, the movie, thrown in there. It was wild. It was wild. I recommend how to read this book. 100% everyone should read this book. It was so entertaining. The social commentary is fantastic, but don't take the rest of the book that seriously. The competition is wild. It is absolutely wild, and don't take like the romances seriously. The romance is like not the point of the book. It is the competition. It is our main character. So much fun. This is going to be a tough young adult thriller to beat for me this year. Like, I feel like this might be one of my favorite young adult thrillers of the year. It was so much fun. Next, we have one that is out of my comfort zone. It is The Woman in the Castillo by Kelsey James. In this beguiling mid-century historical fiction novel set in 1960s Italy, an ambitious American actress, that's why I picked it. I was like, why did I pick this one? And a single mother snags the starring role in a mysterious horror movie shooting on location in a crumbling medieval castle outside Rome. Okay. Yes. Horror movie, actress, etc. Yeah, this is, yeah. Again, I see, I know. I should know myself that I picked it for a reason. And I did. That sounds absolutely fantastic. Next, we have Ghosted, a Northanger Abbey novel. I really hate this cover. I hate this cover, but I really like Northanger Abbey. So I'm like, I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let it slide, and it sounds really good. It says it's Never Have I Ever meets The X-Files and Amanda Quain's Ghosted, a gender-bent contemporary retelling of the Jane Austen classic Northanger Abbey. Okay, last four. Bonesmith by Nikki Palprado, House of the Dead, Book 1. I love that name of the series. That sounds like a really cool series. And it's Gideon the Ninth meets the Game of Thrones White Walkers in this dark young adult fantasy about a disgraced ghost-fighting warrior who must journey into a haunted wasteland to rescue a kidnapped prince. This is young adult fantasy. Sounds so good. Yeah, this is definitely one that I'm going to be immediately picking up. This sounds right up my alley. And I love the cover. The cover looks so cool. Next, I'm going to have to reread the first two books. I wasn't expecting a third one to be coming out. We have the third book in the One of Us is Lying series, One of Us is Back, by Karen McManus. I feel like the series needs to die. I read the first two books so long ago that I'm just like, how am I supposed to remember anything from the first two books? So I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it is a continuation because it brings up Simon. So I'm just like, the final, explosive third and final thrilling installment of the acclaimed One of Us series. Ugh, my gosh. So I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I don't want to know anything about it because if I'm intrigued, I'm going to have to reread the first two books. And I don't want to. Next, we have a very exciting release. I actually was a part of this author's Patreon for a really long time because she does beautiful artwork, but I had to cut down on some of my Patreons because it was getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand. So this is The Sun and the Void. This is going to be coming in a book box, which is amazing. It is the first book in a new series called The Warring Gods, and it's by Gabriela Romero Lacruz. Again, stunning art. Go look up this artist. Literally amazing artwork. It's just gorgeous. The work is gorgeous. The Lush World, inspired by the history and folklore of South America, a sweeping epic fantasy of colonialism, ancient magic, and two young women's quest for belonging unfolds. The only thing that I've heard about this book, which is slightly disappointing, is that apparently it's very info dumpy, but this is a debut, so I always try to take that into account when I read books, because if a debut is good or decent, that means they'll probably put out phenomenal books later on. So I am pretty excited about this, and again, go check out her artwork. And then for all the very excited people, I've been seeing this book everywhere, I feel like, because a bunch of people have arcs just floating around. Red Rising Saga number 6, Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. I'm not going to say anything else because I haven't read the series, so I don't want to know anything either. So yeah, this seems like it's going to be a huge release, obviously, because it's continuing this crazy series that everybody's obsessed with. So that is everything for July. I feel like this is an incredibly heavy horror thriller month, which is really cool. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I don't remember what I put on these lists because I do these lists a month or two in advance, and then I'll, like, a week before I film these, I'll go back and make sure I didn't miss anything, because I go through Goodreads lists, tons of blogs, tons of like other new release videos. I do so much research for these videos, so I don't miss anything that I'm excited about. And of course I still miss things, but yeah, it's very heavy horror and thriller this month, which is exciting because it is also Summerween in July. So lots of stuff to pick from. Very excited. I can't believe we're already into July, which is insane. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found a ton of books that you're excited about. Make sure you check out your library. If you have access to a library, make sure you check out Libby. Make sure you check out all the things so you can get books for free and not have to go buy them. But also, like, know what you want to buy. Like, treat yourself sometimes, okay? Parks and Rec, treat yourself. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below what books you're excited about. If I missed any books that you're excited about, definitely let me know, because that means they're not on my radar and I need to know about them, okay? I have FOMO when it comes to book releases and I don't know they're coming out. So make sure you tell me what's coming out if I missed any. Make sure you subscribe, because I do this every single month and I'm reading arcs now. I'm reading arcs, guys. I'm so excited about it. So make sure you don't miss any videos by subscribing. Make sure you like the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.